Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 2 of 2023. It's very exciting. If you like what you see, give it a like, etc. But let's crack on. The first one is the Mutalk. So this is a device, as you're seeing right in front of you, that you strap to your face and allows you to shout or talk into the metaverse or games, or even if you're at work doing a meeting, kind of casually as you're seeing here. You could probably also put some snacks in there as well. So this uses what's called a Helmholtz resonator, which is kind of a really fancy way of describing what happens when you blow across the top of a bottle. Now this reduces your voice by up to 30 decibels if you're shouting, about 20 decibels in normal circumstances. It's due out, I think, late 2023, but there you go. So if this is going to improve your life if you live with a gamer, for instance, then you know what to look out for a birthday present. AI lawyers are coming for courtrooms near you. So this is a case, we don't really know a lot about the details of this case or where it is, what it's about, who it's over, or who the defendant is. However, there is a website that's been around for a few years that will help you get off parking tickets and that sort of thing. It's called Do Not Pay. And for the first time, the defendant is going to be in court with an earpiece in. The app is apparently going to listen to the discourse in the court case, what's going on, what's being said, and will advise the defendant using the earpiece and what to say. So that could be quite interesting. Now, a lot of this is about democratizing access to legal advice because it is quite expensive at the moment. So that's quite an interesting case. As I say, sometime in February, we're not exactly sure what's going to go on there, but keep your eyes on that. So that should be quite good. It also allows you to do lots of things like cancelling subscriptions and those sorts of things, and finding hidden money and suing people. So possibly worth a look. This is a really interesting, slightly weird report, and it's weird on two reasons. First of all, it was talking about 6G, and in the future, for instance, 6G might be communicated to in dense populations by using light. So things like lampposts or outside billboards or anything like that that can be flickered at a very high frequency can then be picked up by mobile device cameras, and therefore you might be able to actually receive information through the cameras on your phone, or anything can essentially be receiving information through light. So that's one thing, and it said that during this process, a radio frequency is one of the byproducts of it, and you can use that radio frequency, which is essentially energy in the air, to power things. So you had a basic coil, and they tested out trying to put it onto wood and plastic and metal and all sorts of things like that, and they found if you put it onto a body, i.e. a human, the coil was far more effective. So there's a sort of weird thing, as I say, it's quite a strange report, but it was basically saying that in the future, humans might really be walking around a slightly different environment, picking up RFID and helping to translate and also receive and detect 6G signals. There you go, kind of weird. BMW were at CES, this is the second year running. Last year they had a colour changing car, but really what it did, it had e-ink panels on it that changed the colour from essentially light to dark. Now they've gone a step further, they've got 32 colours in their e-ink panels. They're still e-ink panels, which is why you can see it flickering. That's how e-ink panels kind of work. What they do is they sort of physically move spheres of colour, and that's what you're seeing, is it's literally moving colour particles in the ink. The actual design itself, so the stripes and the squares, is preset, but you can set what colour those are. So depending on what design of those panels you've got, you can make stripes and squares and all sorts of things. That's what you're going on here. So not really due for release yet, but they were saying this might be a 2025 thing. If you're interested in what D stands for, by the way, it's Digital Emotion Experience. So just an experiment from BMW. There you go. This is kind of interesting. It's just one of another story that we've seen, which is people fighting back against AI. Sorry for the low quality screenshot, but this was originally on Instagram. So this is actually a French comic book author called Claire Wendling, who went into her Adobe settings and found this, which is essentially saying we can use your content to learn and train AIs. Now this, if you're into GDPR, should actually be an opt-in, not an opt-out. So first black mark against Adobe for that. But Adobe have also seen a few controversial moves recently where, for instance, they've allowed AI art into image library services and that sort of thing. So it seems like, you know, not quite on the side of artists. Well, they haven't been for a long time, to be fair, but there you go. Now, this is kind of, as I say, one more sense that humans are starting to fight back about all scraping AIs training themselves. I read another report that's saying that probably as of maybe 3 or 4 years' time, there will be very little new content on the internet for them to train themselves in. So it's a heyday for AIs right now. So fight back now, I guess. The Chimera engine, this is slightly weird, but if you're into hypersonic flight, you know, obviously supersonic flight really for commercial use ended with Concorde being decommissioned, and nothing really has happened since. Hypersonic flight, which is essentially faster than that, so Mach 5 plus 3,000 miles an hour, that sort of thing, usually uses rockets. However, if you have a turbojet, that's good for normal speeds up to Mach 3. When I say normal speeds, that's still pretty quick. Past that, you really need a ramjet. Now, this is the first engine that has been shown to be able to transition between turbojets and ramjets. Bit of a niche thing, but this is really, really interesting, bringing potentially low-cost hypersonic travel to the world. Yeah, looking at that, and that's quite interesting. And finally, mainly just because of the image, because I thought it was really, really interesting. So this is AI GUIDi, who are a startup, but they're aiming to bring this product out in 2023. And this is called GUIDi. And it aims to not, I don't know whether it's going to do away with guide dogs. I don't know what they're going to do with their spare time, whether they find purpose, or whether they're going to be a bit annoyed about that. But what this does is it uses cameras and object detection and haptics to give you sort of vibrations to go left or right or whatever's needed to do. So it allows people with sight impairments to navigate their world without needing a dog. And one of the other things about having a dog is obviously you need one hand, ideally, to control the dog as well. So it might be putting guide dogs out of work. As I say, I'm not quite sure whether they'll be annoyed or happy about that. Here you go. But watch out for that. Again, due for release in 2023. Now, hopefully that was interesting. If it was, give it a like, and I will see you next week.